tripping. Tripping with Theo Bowl.
Come on, Dre.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Tripping with Theo Bold. I'm your host, Andre Theo Bold. Welcome to the show. Glad y'all could tune in. AT is where it's at on most forms of social media, so make sure you follow me. Boom. All right. So, you know what I'm tripping on today? Besides this big, I said, do you know what I'm tripping on today? This notion of a golden ticket. You know, I think everybody wants a golden ticket. The question is, why are we so uncomfortable with the idea of something, or why are we so uncomfortable with the idea that the best things in life might take 10 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference between a pyramid scheme and a dream? Because if you listen to people talk long enough, they start to sound very similar. So, yeah, this whole notion of a golden ticket, let's go ahead and dig into it, man. I think what makes successful people abandon a path that already works is the idea that they had before they got into the path that they were currently on. Right? Like, I think that people get passion and money are two different things, you know? I think people just have this whole grandiose idea that, oh, if I see so-and-so do this one thing over here and they're being successful doing it, and really it's all about their definition of success, you know? Like, if they see someone with the symptoms of success, they think that, man, if I got that, everything will be A-okay. But a lot of people don't realize that, you know, when you see somebody with something that you think that you might want, you don't know what comes with that. And you don't even know if that person is even happy with what they have. All you see are the symptoms of success, right? So let me give you an example, right? Of what I'm talking about. So when I was in grad school, I had a professor, you know, I was taking this class, and it was a tough class when I was in grad school. And this professor, I was actually hanging out, or I was in the building, like studying like late hours. And this professor, you know, caught me hanging in the halls late, or caught me when I was in between a lab and another classroom or whatever. And he was like, hey man, you want to know, do you want to get on to the next best thing, you know? And I'm like, oh shit, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm about to get put on to some new technology that no one knows about yet, or that few people know about. And I'm gonna be on my way, you know? I'm like, man, I'm about to get the secret that's gonna just jumpstart my life, and boom, I'm gonna shoot right to the top. You know, so he said, yeah, come to my office. So I went to his office, and he handed me this can of excess energy drink. Now, for all my Quick Start people out there, I know you know what Quick Start. I know you know what excess energy drink is. So, he handed me this drink, and I popped the can open. I started drinking, and I'm waiting on, what this next best thing is that he's gonna put me onto. And I'm sitting there, and he just looked at me and was like, "Yeah, this is it." I'm like, "What?" He's like the drink. And I was like, "God damn, he got man." I'm like, "Man, he got bit by the multi-level marketing bugs." God damn, I didn't say that, right? Because I was in an awkward position. I was in an awkward situation because if I said something that disagree with that, I'm looking at, hey, he might try to give me a hard time in his class, or you don't want to, bite the hand that's feeding you. But at the same time, I was like, oh man, this is that bullshit, you know. So if you don't know, Excess is a or was or is it's still out. I looked it up. It's an energy drink that's a product of a Quickstar. If you know anything about Quickstar, it was a multi-level marketing business, quote unquote, where they had good products. I'm not gonna hate on Quickstar. Quickstar had good products, but they were overpriced, and the gimmick was, you had to sign up to become an independent business owner or an IBO, and the gimmick was you wanted to sign up other people to become IBOs under you. So when they sold product, you got a portion of what they sold, right? Like Quickstar, I think it was a it was a derivative or a cousin of Amway. So when he gave me this drink, I was like, I already knew what it was because at the time, like I was already on it. Like I mean, at the time, I already knew what Excess energy drink was. Because my dad put me onto this shit. Because my dad was heavy in the Quickstar. You know, um, but to go back to my professor's like point or situation, like in my mind, what had happened was, what he thought his career path wasn't what he thought it was. He thought, if he got a degree and had this profession and then taught, at the grad school level, that, everything would just kind of find a way to work itself out, and money would never be an issue, or he wouldn't want more money. But it wasn't enough. And then he's out here peddling Excess drinks, you know? Um and I was nervous because I had to really watch my words, right? Because if I bullshitted him too much, he was gonna be like, "Hey man, if you want, you can buy some more from me, or better yet, you can become an IBO under me, and then you can sell some shit." And I already was on to the hustle because my dad, man, he was on Quickstar when I was in high school, so I already knew the bullshit when it was coming my way. You know what I'm saying? I already knew what the deal was. You know, um, so I think people copy um other people's versions of success instead of creating their own because they can see it, right? It's tangible, right? Like when you create your own version of success, or when you define your own version of success, most of the time, like, you can't there's no tangible proof of it. You just keep believing in it, right? And it's your own thing, right? And it's not like some blind hope Hail Mary, but it's like, you're kind of combining logic with, you know, uh stick to itiveness, and you're sticking to whatever it is you're doing, but there's no proof of the success, right? So I think a lot of people copy other people's versions of success, and or I think they do it because they can see, like, they don't want to do the work to wait to reap what is to be sown, if that makes sense. Right? Like dreaming, believe it or not, takes work, Dreaming and planning and execute, all that shit takes work. And I think that, a lot of times it's easy to look at what someone else is doing and then just trying to go and mimic that, you know. And what I've learned in life is you can't, if you do the same thing that someone else is doing, at best you're gonna get something less than what they already got, you know. So like, man, I remember I was at this it's like I said, my dad was heavy into Quick Star, man. Like my dad was, you know, medicine. Like my dad was a family he was my dad was a primary care doctor, you know, and you know, he like early on when, you know, he had his own practice and everything, business was booming, you know. But one thing my dad kept saying, or I kept hearing him say, and like it was like he'd be around the house and he'd be mad, man. Like he'd talk about how um patients were coming in with fancy new basketball shoes, Jordans, you know, and every time he saw one of his patients, they had a new pair of Jordans on, but they would bitch about the copay, you know. Like my dad would come home and I could hear him now. He'd be like, man, these motherfuckers are coming in here and with new Jordans and fancy shoes and they don't want to pay a $15 copay. So I had to tell him and get the fuck out of my office. So he didn't say that. He had to still take the money, but he was like, you know, what happened was he got into medicine, or what it looked like. Cause like, I don't know shit, you know, but I'm just telling you what I think I know. But what I think happened was he got into family practice and the medicine because he wanted to help people, you know what I'm saying? And he thought that everything would be taken care of. But then, you know, when, you know, when you look at what copays were going for people's insurance or whatever, and you see that people have the money to pay the copay, but then you see them coming in trying to like cut corners because they don't want to pay the doctor, you know, basically what happened is people like don't prioritize their health, you know? And when people don't prioritize their health, someone got to foot the bill, you know? So it kind of turned into this thing where like my dad was like, you know, he over time got frustrated with, you know, that aspect of running a practice, but also, you know, when you run a practice or you do, if you do anything, like you need to like have someone that is about the business, you know, because at the end of the day, if you're running a business, you got to make sure that you're bringing in profit, you know, and you need someone like if you want to do the art a lot of times or the fun stuff, a lot of times you got to hire someone to do the business to make sure that you're actually making a profit. Right. So anyways, I'm saying all this to say because like my dad, I think looked at Quickstar as a way to offset costs, you know, and even I think too, I think he was looking for like, I don't think he was looking for a way out of like doing family practice. I just think that like the area that he was in, he didn't realize that it wouldn't be it wouldn't become as it wouldn't be as like non-profitable as it was back in the day. And now he was like just looking for a way to um get money so he could do what he wanted to do, which also would have included helping people because my dad liked to help people, you know. Um but I say all this because like my dad, like he like I said, my dad was heavy into Quick Star, man. Like he'd be on the phone with people trying to get people to sign up under him. And he would like be like soup, like he was on their ass. He'd be on the phone. He'd be like, yeah, so and so, I got so and so to sign up. I'm getting so and so to sign up. And oh yeah, man. So I'm getting, and then he get people to sign up. And then when the people were like, yeah, nah, I ain't doing this, my dad would be like, oh, so and so ain't gonna make it. They not gonna make it, you know, because they don't have the drive, they don't have the stick to it. Like he was gung ho on that shit, you know. And I'm like, nigga, I don't believe in this Quick Star shit either, but whatever, you know what I'm saying? Um, but I remember, man. My dad made me go to this convention in Philly because I went to school in Philly. Yeah, I went to college in Philly, and it was like the beginning of my fall semester. He made me go to this convention because he couldn't make it, but my dad was like, he's like, Jay, I got you a ticket. You need to go. You have to go to this convention. He said, put on the suit, go there, you know, um, you know, be attentive, ask questions, look around, my dad was like pushing me. I was like, man, I want to go to this shit. I didn't say it, but I was like, man, fuck, let me go to this bullshit. So I had my little cheap double-breasted suit on and shit. Had on my little chopper suit, nigga. I had on my little chopper suit and I went to this convention. Um, I went to this Quick Start convention. Um, and I ain't gonna hold you, man. That shit was sad, man. Like it was like comically sad, Like it was just a bunch of people there that um it was like the current life they had wasn't good enough. So they were like, man, they were just coming out in droves and they were just hoping that, they could say the right thing, do the right thing, or be in the right presence of somebody to just magically take them from the current life that they were in to this other life. And I remember like the whole thing I remember of the convention, the whole thing I remember, or the two things I remember from the convention. Two, it was like nobody was talking about the business. Like nobody was being creative. It was like people's brains were just shut off. They were like zombies, just yeah. It was like they were just in this glow where they were just trying to find their way to the money pot. They were like a bunch of leprechauns trying to find their way to this pot of gold. You know, because I don't remember anyone talking about like or asking questions about the business or like, hey, what's going to be the strategy? How are we going to move forward? What's our 5-year trajectory? What's our 10-year plan? There was no planning. There was no nothing. It was just all hype. It was all hype, man. I remember they had this one video on the one thing I do remember, right? Like besides people not asking about the business or there not being any sort of like tangible um progress or anything of that nature. The one thing I remember, man, was there was this video, right? And they showed this I think it was an Indian family, but they showed this family that basically graduated to another tier, right? So in Quickstar, you had these different tiers. You had uh I forgot, I think it was like silver, gold, platinum, and then emerald, right? And that basically was, how much you were making a year. So if you were like I think there's I forgot. So there's all these different tiers, right? And then if you were like an emerald, if you were like a platinum member, you were making like $1 million a year. If you were like an emerald, you were making something like 2 or 3 million a year. Then if you were diamond, which is like the highest, that meant that you were like making like 5 million. It's Don't quote me on the tiers, but just know that if you were in those upper echelons, you were making like millions, a million to millions per year. So I remember there's one Indian family, like they graduated from becoming a gold. I think they went from gold to like platinum. And it was like they had this video that they made that showed like them achieving all the success that they wanted to achieve to motivate other people to work harder at what they were doing the same shit. And this video, it was like they had this house, they had the picket fence, and they had this minivan. But nigga, on the minivan, like they had these fucking spinning rims on the fucking minivan. And them joints weren't, it's like they weren't even shiny, yo. Like they were like spinning hubcaps, but it was like they were emphasizing, the actual spinning hubcaps or whatever, because they zoomed in on the shits. And them joints weren't even spinning all the way around. They were just kind of doing this when they were driving by. And it was like they were like feeding people with this montage of just happiness. Like, hey, we reached the promised land and this is our promised land. And everyone was like, and I remember leaving that shit like not motivated. I'm like, man, how the fuck can y'all get motivated off someone else's shit? You know? And that's not even like shit that I even want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to sound mean, but I don't know. So, um, so I think we stopped asking questions um when people appear successful. When I say we, I mean we as a collective. You know, I think we stop asking questions um when someone appears successful because we don't want to piss that person off, you know, because that person has power, you know, and then if you piss that person off, there's this fear that they might not help you get to where you want to be, or they might not pull you up to where they're at, you know. So man, so my dad had another doctor friend, I forgot his name, uh but he was a specialist. Like, because to me it's like, yo, if you're a specialist and you're not making the money you want to make, then like, why are you even in this shit, you know? Like, if you see people doing multi-level marketing and they got a profession, they don't want to do what the fuck they doing. Like, that's basically how that shit go. Um, but uh Now my dad is one doctor friend who, I think he became Emerald, or he was, yeah, he became an Emerald Club member. And I remember my dad had him come to the house or whatever, and my dad was just real subservient, man. Like, you would have thought that Jesus was coming to the house, man. My dad was like, oh, Dr. So-and-so is coming to the house. He's an Emerald Club member. He's an Emerald Club member. So be nice. That means he's making $1 million a year. That's gonna be me. That's how my dad was. He's like, that's gonna be me. Right. So he invited this doctor dude over to his house, and he came over. And it was a nice guy, you know what I'm saying? But he was a little too quiet, man. Like when niggas get quiet, man, I got questions. You know, like, this nigga came over and, you know, just had like a little, he had he had a smug on his face. Like, he was just like you just look weird. So he came over, and when he sat on the couch or whatever, like, my dad was like, oh, do you want something to drink? Oh, I'll be like, he was acting like Jesus was in the house. So when my dad came back with some like water or whatever for the doctor or whatever, or the dude that was there, um, I just couldn't help to ask. I had to ask, man. I was like, yo, so yeah, so I said, yeah, you an Emerald Club member? He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, so you make $1 million a year? He's like, yeah. I was like, yo, you got any proof? Like, do you have any like, you got any pay stubs or anything like that? My dad was like, no, Trey, what are you doing? No, 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 you can't disrespect. Like, my dad like cut me off. It was like, you can't ask him questions like that. You can't ask him questions. No. Right. And um, so I remember like just being like, let me go ahead and just keep my mouth shut. You know, 'cause I'm not trying to ruin anything that my pop got going, but I was just like, man, nah, it's like, to me, it's like, if you got to be afraid to ask questions about something that you're putting effort and energy into, and this is supposed to be like your life's work, it's like, man, maybe it's like, man, you got to rethink that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so that to me was just like one of those situations where I was like, yeah, it was like, I think my dad was like so afraid that this guy had the answer, or something that either my dad felt like he would need him later in life, you know, or there's something that that guy would do for him to pull him up. And he was afraid that, you know, if he questioned anything, that it would offend him to where the dude would cut him off and not help him. And it's like, if that's how it's going to be, then you probably don't want to be around that person anyway. You know what I'm saying? Um, so, but here's the thing, right? Like, I'm not even gonna lie, man. Like, I got by the bullshit. I got sucked in. You know, I got I got sucked into a few things. You know what I'm saying? Um, like when you when we believe, like, there's no limit to like what you'll believe when there's attraction involved, you know? Um like you'll eat the bullshit up when attraction is involved, right? I remember I had this there was one chick I went to school with. I'm not gonna say no names because the names aren't important. It's just the lessons that we learn, right? So I'm just giving you I'm giving you the game, I'm giving you the lessons, and it's on you to you know, do with the information or do whatever you want with the information. But anyways, man, I remember I was in college and there was this one chick, man. I was trying my damnedest to get with this girl, man. You know, she was bad too, Um, and we had the same math class together. We were in the same math class or whatever. And man, I be trying to study with this chick, man, and she was always like, "Oh yeah, nah, I'm busy," and you know, and there was times when she even like skipped class, but then like wanted to like know what happened in class and wanted the notes, and I'm like, "Oh, boom, I got the note." Like she wouldn't even like. I was so like I don't know the right word to use. Like man, I was simping over this chick so hard, man, that I would like. She basically was like, whenever she skipped class or missed class, she'd be like, "Yo, leave the notes under my door." So I would go and leave the notes under her door, and I'd be like, "Hey, man, if you need me to like break anything down for you to help you understand, we can get together in the library." And like, nigga, I was trying to get some of her time, and she would give me no time, none. So then a few years go by, and then I'm in grad school and shit. I haven't heard from her in like years. Like it's probably like 3-4 years since I heard from her. And I remember I was driving back from I was in grad school at the time and I was driving home and my phone rang and it was the chick that I was trying to get at in college. And she never called me, right? So I was like, "Oh shit, this is it. This is definitely it." I was like, "Yo," I'm like, "She's finally coming around." I was like, "Man, the dude she was dealing with probably in the past, she probably see them dudes ain't shit, and now it's my turn. I'm gonna step up to the plate and I'm gonna knock it out the park. Oh man, I can't wait." I was psyched. So I picked up the phone, calm and shit. I was like, "Hey." She was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Oh, it's going good. I'm just getting out of class. I'm in grad school. What's going on?" She was like, "Yeah, I was wondering if we could get together sometime so, we could I have a business opportunity that I want to share with you, man. And I was wondering if we could get together after work sometime and at my place and talk it over." I was like, "Hell yeah." I'm like, "Shit, tell me the date, man. I'm on the way. I'm on the way, right?" So I didn't put two and two together, you know, and I remember, man, I had so much excitement going to this chick's apartment because I'm like, "Yo, we about to work on some business." You know what I'm saying? And then she gonna see the type of dude that I am, and then I'm gonna be on my way, right? We gonna be on our way. Like that's what I was thinking, nigga. When I pulled up to her spot, man, and went to her, I opened up or went into her place, and she opened up the door. It was a whole gang of motherfuckers in that apartment, man. It was like, it had to be at least like 30, 40 people in this apartment, man. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm thinking to myself, "Yo, what the fuck is it?" I'm thinking it's gonna be me and her, and we gonna talk business. And I'm thinking we gonna do some like, just like one-on-one type shit. And nigga, it was like 35 motherfuckers in that apartment. And here's a sign where you know that you walking into some bullshit, right? Because there was one chick that came behind me, and when she walked in, she stepped one foot in the apartment and looked around and like walked out. And this was like supposed to be one of her like good friends. So she saw the bullshit, but I didn't see the bullshit, right? And the bullshit is this, right? The bullshit is whenever you go, if someone says, "Hey, are you interested in an opportunity?" And they tell you to come by to come talk about the business. And you walk in their apartment and you see a bunch of motherfuckers in their apartment. And if you see a bowl of chips, a DVD player, and if you see a nigga standing next to the TV with a Cosby sweater on, nigga, run, nigga, because it's a multi-level marketing scheme. That's what that shit is, man. So, anyways, like my defense is like I was focused on the chick and not focused on the game, and that's why I got hemmed up. So what happened was the nigga in the dude in the Cosby sweater, like he saw me and then just kind of like he was kind of like moving around the room. He's moving around the room and shit, and he kind of pulled me aside. I was like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm so and so." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm so and so," and he's like, "Yeah, man." And somehow we got to talking about future dreams and future plans and stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, man, my goal is, man, one day I wanna own an NBA team, man." He was like, "For real?" He's like, "Man, me too." I was like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah." And this, he said, "You know what? This is the best place to start, right? This is the place to be." He was like, when you're like, when you look back to all the millionaires and billionaires that became rich, it all started in meetings like this. Like they were in a room, they had an idea, and then boom, they just exchanged the ideas. And then they got to where they at, and they looked back to where they were, and they were laughing at, or they laugh at where they were at, you know? And he said, "That's gonna be me and you." He said, "Man, years down the road, man," he's like, "Man, we gonna look back in this apartment and be like, yo, remember when we were back in the apartment and whoop de whoop. Look at us now, right?" So I was like, "Okay, shit." So when he gave his talk about the shit, like I just ignored. Like I didn't even, like my mind was so focused on the chick that like I said, I had the game ran on me, and that's what it was. So as he was explaining what the multi-level marketing business was, people started just leaving. And then the chick that I was there to that I had high hopes with, um, she was looking like more and more disappointed, or she was looking like, "Oh man, this shit ain't working out," you know. And finally, like I was there the whole night because I was hanging in there. You know what I'm saying? Um, and here's the thing, right? The business basically it was some shit where it was like they had you as basically it was like you're supposed to go to your friends and ask them if they wanted to, or suggest to them, "Hey, do you want to do? Hey, they wanted you to suggest to your friends to switch their phone service to the shit you were offering, and if you could get them to switch, you would get a cut of their bill, right?" So most people would ask, "Well, shit, if all I gotta do is switch, and you get a cut of my bill, how come I can't get a cut of my own bill?" You know, I never thought no shit. Cause I wasn't thinking. You know what I'm saying? I was head over heels for this chick. So people heard the shit and they just got up and left, right? So then finally, I was the last one there, and I was like, "Yo, um, here's my shot," right? So the guy or the leader, like the dude in the Cosby sweater, he basically was like, one of the things that you had to do is the startup fee was like $500, right? And then, but he didn't want you to pay out of pocket. He wanted you to use a credit card because he was going to show you that within 30 days you can make that money back, you know? So I was like, bet. So I went ahead and signed up, and the chick that I was trying to impress, man, she had this look on her face like she just couldn't believe it. Like she was like, so I'm like, it didn't dawn on me. I'm like, yo, if you had your own idea of what you were trying to do, right? Then there should be no shock, right? But it's like she thought this shit. So the whole thing was me signing up was the surprise. Like she didn't think anybody was gonna sign up. But my dumb ass did, because I thought, you know, it was gonna bring us together, and then we were gonna build a business, and then we were gonna boom do good things, and then some things, right? But nah, long story short, man, we went to like a few like meetup meetings, and I saw that it was all bullshit. Like nobody there was no business, you know. So yeah, so end of the day, it's like you can believe, like when you get sidetracked and you're not focused, you can get got with the bullshit, you know, especially when you're attracted to somebody. Um, and that's the thing, man. Like people start talking differently when they trying to sell a dream. You know, that's one thing I've noticed. You know, people talk different, man. And I think I already kind of like said what it was or said what it is. But a lot of people, man, like with this multi-level marketing stuff, like when they get bit by the multi-level marketing bug, I don't know what it is, but they throw around the word opportunity, man. Like I knew people in college, man, that got by the MLM bullshit. And like when they came around, man, when they come around, or when they came around, yo, like they like, man, we be talking about hooping, we be talking about girls, we be talking about all types of other shit. But when niggas throw the word opportunity around, it's like, man, which MLM bit you in the ass, nigga? Like if I hear someone say the word opportunity, I'm like, okay, who did he get bit by? Like I remember, man, I'd be just like, and that shit is such a downer, man, you know, because it's like we in college and we're like hooping and we're trying to figure out our dreams and we're trying to figure out what it is we're trying to do in life. And when you hear niggas come around talking about some, hey man, would you be interested in an opportunity? It's like, god damn, man, like, come on, man, they got you too. So yeah, man, yeah. The key word, like I said, and now here's the thing, right? I think MLMs are like dead, they're extinct. Like a lot of the youngins of today don't even know what I'm talking about, probably. Like they have no idea what MLMs are, right? But to me, I'm gonna go out on a limb, and this is why the show is called Tripping with Theo Bold. But I'm gonna go off on a limb and I'm gonna say some shit. Hope I don't offend anybody. But this social media shit, there's a lot of similarities to multi-level marketing, man. A lot, man. I mean a lot. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but there's a lot of similarities to this shit, man. Like I see the same, like it's the same energy. You know what I'm saying? It's like people see what someone else is doing and they're just gonna go mindlessly go and do the same thing because they want to get the following, right? It's like people are so desperate to get it's like the following numbers or the follower count is like the tiers in Quickstar. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers, a million for followers, or if you got 2 million followers, 15 million followers, it's like you've unlocked the secret code to something and people want to find out what it is. And it's like, look, I'm guilty of this shit, right? Like I remember like there's times, man, when um I'll be doing a comedy show with people and I'm in the end of the day, I'm about the craft, right? I'm about the laughs in the room at the moment, you know. And I remember I did a show um with with the influencer, right? Um and this person had like 2 million like followers on one platform, right? And the producer of the show was acting different, like toward like it was like this like reverence of this person that had 2 million followers. You know what I'm saying? I remember you know, I remember like I remember getting pressure for like not promoting the show like enough, you know? And I'm looking at everyone else on the lineup and they're not doing shit, you know? So that made me think, oh, okay, well, um, maybe they're not getting the heat because they got 2 million followers. So they can just walk in and that person thinks that if this person has 2 million followers, that they're going to bring a chunk of the followers to the show and the show going to sell out. Therefore, don't want to piss that person off, you know? But I remember going to the show and doing the show, whatever, and the person got up and like they did like their thing was that they did like a lot of like videos like on a platform that got them all these views. but jokes were mid. Like I remember like going up after this person and like doing well, and my guests or whatever were like, "Yo, Dre, man, you were so funny. Man, this person has 2 million followers, and man, you were way funnier than that person." And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, that's just the game. It's like having followers doesn't mean that that's going to translate onto the stage. You know what I'm saying?" Anyways, but now, but to me, there's a lot of similarities with like social media and multi-level marketing, man, because um like you'll see people with numbers or whatever, but a lot of times they're not as successful. Well, they're successful in that, but that doesn't necessarily translate to like finances. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not a one-to-one correlation, and it's real easy for people to see the numbers and the following size and become reverent or subservient to that person. Um, but yeah, what else, man? So yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, I think my dad was chasing when it came to the quick start thing. I think that um I don't think my dad was just chasing money. Uh I think he was chasing freedom, you know? Uh I think at the end of the day, I think he was chasing freedom, man. Because if someone's chasing like purely money, right, then you would have seen like the next level of, I don't want to say desperation, but the next level of the next level of figuring the shit out, right? Like you would have seen, okay, well, let me get these business books and let me get this and let me figure out, okay, let me understand how income relates to this and how profits are generated from this and that, right? So to me, it was like he didn't want to be the richest person out there, right? He wasn't out there counting pennies, but it was more of he wanted to just have a lump sum of money to help other people out and to improve his quality of life, right? That's all he really wanted at the end of the day. But then that's like a pipe. That's not a pipe dream, but that's like a um right. That's a recursive problem because now once you get that right, let's say that you were able to get that or he was able to get that, then what happens is you see people with more, and then you want more, and then the cost of everything is going up. Therefore, you're gonna need more money. So it's like it's the cycle that just kind of keeps going down a rabbit hole. Um, oh, another thing. Like I said, I got by my share of vices. Like one of my things I get got by, like one of my golden tickets, right? It's DraftKings, right? I don't play every day. Matter of fact, I don't even play for every sport, right? Matter of fact, I got to check my baseball lineup that I put in last night because I haven't played DraftKings in a couple like months. But during the NFL season, I do that Millie Maker every Sunday, right? Because it's like, all you got to do is pick 9 players to get the highest points. And then you got a Millie, you know? Um, but when you look at the numbers and the probability of getting that, you know, it's like you don't even pay attention to the odds or like it seems attainable, right? And you know, there's times when, like I said, I did a lot of crazy shit, man. Like with DraftKings, man, with the Millie Maker, man. I remember I tried to learn machine learning, um, and neural networks to build a neural network to predict the perfect lineup. And the scary part was, man, I was like gathering data from like years ago in the NFL. I was formatting the data a certain way. I was running scripts man, I was trying to crack the code, man. And the scary thing is I actually picked two wide receivers in the perfect lineup that one week. So I thought I was getting close, you know. But I remember, man, I was running all these simulations and just um I was doing all this shit, and it took up my whole weekend. And I submitted like one or two tickets, and I was hoping to get that millie. Didn't get it, but I wasted a lot of time in that process. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I think people are more interested in being rich than becoming valuable because I think people are selfish, man. I think at the end of the day, uh, more people, because when you want to be rich, you want to be rich so you can buy what you want to buy for yourself. But when you're valuable, right, that means that you're of service to others, right? And I forgot what book I read this in or where I heard this from, but um, they were saying that if you want to be like wealthy or like stupid rich, right? Or if you look at all the billionaires out there right now, right? Or most of them, um, at the end of the day, they solved the problem that affected a lot of people, right? So when you solve a problem that affects a lot of people, you're valuable. And not only are you valuable, but then as a byproduct, you're going to become rich, right? Like for example, when you look at what's his face? When you look at um Jeff Bezos, right? He solved a problem where, you know, the problem he solved basically was, hey, I'm a shopper, but I don't want to get in my car and drive everywhere to buy everything, right? I want to be able to point and click and add shit to my cart and then have it dropped off at my door. You know, Jeff Bezos solved that problem, right? And look at him now; he's a billionaire. Um, but I think people are more interested in being rich than valuable because they don't want to solve problems that positively affect other people. And I think it's because they think it's too above them or it seems out of reach, but really it's not. It's like if you craft what problem you're trying to solve over time and you can simple it down and make it narrow or narrow down the focus of that problem that you're trying to solve and you solve it, you become valuable. And when you become valuable, you're going to get, um, you're going to be rich as a byproduct of that. Um, so with that being said, the difference between building something and joining something, um, yeah, the difference between building something and joining something is once again it comes down to being selfish to an extent, right? Um, because when you're building something, it's like you're not relying on anybody else, right? And typically when you join something, the mindset is the work has already been figured out, right? And all you got to do is do your part and that's it. And then you're gonna be rich like everybody else. And that's not like I'm gonna give you an example, right? When I was in grad school, we had to do a lot of group projects when I was in grad school. And there was this one African chick in our group, and all she wanted to do was her part. I just want to do my part. Like that's all she kept saying. What is my part? I only want to do my part. I don't want to do nothing more but my part. That's all she would say, man. Right? All I want to do is my part. Is this my part? I'm not doing this because it's not my part. Right? That's all she would say, right? And she joined our group, right? Talking about some, I only want to do my part. Man, we did this project, right? and we ended up getting a B on the project that we submitted. And then she came mad at me talking about some, why did we only get to B? I don't understand why we only got to B. And I told her, I said, because you only wanted to do your part. And there were more parts to do, right? So when you join, so typically when you join something, it's like you're not bringing nothing, right? So the key word is collab, right? Because when you collab with somebody, that means that you have something that you've been building. Like I've been working on this thing here. Okay, cool. There's an opportunity where I can take what I'm building here and we can join this with what we're doing and we can make it bigger, you know? Right? That's the difference, right? The difference is when you're building something, like you're not focused on yourself, you're focused on the thing that you're building. Whereas when you're joining something, you trying to figure out how to fit in, right? And most of the times when you trying to fit into something, you're not like bringing nothing, you know. Um, and you know, like Quickstar was a prime example of joining something, right? Like when like people did Quickstar, they weren't bringing any outside knowledge or any outside thing that they were contributing. All they were coming with was just hope and dreams, you know, and time, and hope that they were there before everybody else or more people, so they could get those people that come later to sign up underneath them, you know. Um, like social media can be either, right? Like social media can be one or the other, right? Like you can build your own thing on social media, right? Or you could go and just try to join other people's shit and not bring nothing, you know. But I'm saying like a lot of push. It's like weird. I feel like there's subtle ways in which people kind of like push back, right? A lot of people kind of can like feel who's bringing something and who isn't bringing something, you know. I feel like in the social media era, you know, people are becoming smarter at recognizing what tangible things people actually bring to the table, you know. And it's weird because people don't really like talk about it out loud. Like people don't really have a discussion on it. It's just kind of it's almost like it's implied, you know. Um, and this kind of goes, like I said, this kind of goes back to like why people that did MLMs back in the day sounded like they were reading from the same script. You know, it was because they weren't contributing nothing. They weren't building something on their own. They wanted to go hop on somebody else's shit and memorize their shit to try to get a leg up in the game, you know? Um excuse me. So yeah, I think I covered most of what I wanted to cover for today. What are your thoughts on this idea of the golden ticket? You know, like what in what forms or what other ways does the illusion of the golden ticket exist? Right, I can think of more. Right, like I said, DraftKings is one. You got the lottery, which is still out there. People think that, hey, you know, I'm just gonna go and try to get all this, and that's a funny thing too, man. I wish there probably is a documentary on it, but I thought there was. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix or not, but I've seen stories of people that won the lottery, and it shows that people that win the lottery, they go broke like pretty fast. You know, they go broke pretty fast. You know, and it all ties into what we've been talking about. It all ties into this whole notion of I got this ticket of success. I can buy what I want to buy, but a lot of people don't realize that, you know, a lot of people really just have a bad relationship with money, you know? Like a lot of people have a bad and look, I'm not trying to plug any books. I'm not trying to like promote anybody's books, but there are three books that um I think helped me with my relationship with money or my relationship to money. And like I said, I got to read more books, right? But one book for sure is like Rich Dad Poor Dad. And if you want to talk about someone running the if you want to talk about somebody running the MLM game, man, look at Robert Kiyosaki, man. You know, he's still eating off that book. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a dope book, man. But after that, man, Robert Kiyosaki, I don't think he done shit. Like, I mean, he did, like, he sold stuff from like the Rich Dad Poor Dad business or whatever. But after Rich Dad Poor Dad, he was selling education, but he was disguising it as something else. But at the end of the day, he was selling education. Right. And that brings me to another point, right? When people sell education, I'm very like weary of that because when people sell education, they're not going to tell you all their secrets or tell you every last thing they did to make them successful. And that's where, and that to me is like the is like the alchemy in education, right? Like you got a lot of alchemists out here, a lot of educational alchemists that that sell education, right? Like a lot of people, like if they see someone successful, they think that, oh, this person is just gonna dump, you know, whatever knowledge they have out into the universe. And then if you obtain it, you know, and consume it, you can be like them, right? It's like that join shit we just talked about, right? So my mind, like the way my mind works is like, yo, if you got a person that is on top of the game and they're successful or they appear successful and they selling you education, why would they want to tell you everything that they doing to get to where they at? Because now they gonna become, because now what's happening is you gonna become their competition, right? So yeah, so like Robert Kiyosaki, like I said, Rich Dad Poor Dad is an amazing book, right? But he took that and he flipped it and he turned it into all these educational programs. And the key thing with education is like my thing is part of the syllabus or part of the curriculum or part of the exams need to be how you making money off of this shit. Like you gotta like have a like you gotta have a ROI on the joint. You know, like schools do the same shit, right? Like that's why it's gonna sound ignorant, like what I'm saying, but this is just like I said, how my mind worked. When I was in school, like it didn't really, I didn't get going to business school or majoring in business in college because why am I gonna learn about money from people that have to come back to a university to get their money? You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they broke, but it's just like, yo, if I don't even know you and you teaching this shit for a job to get a check, then like what, like how is this gonna help me? You know what I'm saying? It's like, why am I gonna go to someone to learn about hunting that doesn't hunt their own food every night? You know what I'm saying? Like that's how my mind works. You know, call me ignorant, call me whatever, but that's just what it is, you know? Um, so at the end of the day, things take time, right? And I hate to sound preachy. Oh, I didn't even go back to the books I was gonna say, right? The books, the three books, like I said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, um, uh, The Millionaire Next Door, and The Psychology of Money. Like those books to me, man, just like it just helps you understand like it just helps you understand, you know, what money is or what wealth is and what it isn't, you know, and it helps you to kind of just see things differently, you know. I'm not saying it's gonna make you rich. That's not the intent of the books. The books are they're intended to help improve your relationship with money, you know. Um, so with all that being said, we talked about this whole golden ticket, and the idea of the golden ticket is you do this one thing, you get lucky, you get all this money, and boom, all your problems are solved, And as Biggie Small said, more money, more problems. Um, but what can only so I'm going to conclude with this, right? Um, I think there are a few things that can only be earned slowly. And this is like the whole Cutterstone analogy, right? If you guys have heard about the Cutterstone analogy, basically if you strike a stone 500 times and it shatters on the 500th hit, was it the 500th hit that did it, or was it all these subsequent hits, including the 500th hit, right? A lot of people only see the last hit. And I feel like with the golden ticket, a lot of people look at other people and they see the success, right? They see the success, but they don't see all the work and all the other things that went into that, right? So with the Cutterstone analogy, we all want to just get a stick and hit it one time and then boom, the rock shatters. But it's all the other hits that that people overlook, or that they think ain't doing that they think's not working, but really it is working. So I think there's a few things that can be that have to be earned slowly. And that's wisdom, you know what I'm saying? Like wisdom is something that everyone has their own timeline for which they acquire wisdom. And you really don't acquire wisdom. You're always just getting wiser, right? So over time, it's like, and it's not, and also too, like wisdom is like it's proactive, right? You just can't sit and just expect the shit to be dropped on you, right? It's like you got to keep hitting that stone, right? Over time and time and time again. And then we look at someone who's wise and think, man, how did he get that knowledge? And it's like, man, he went through all the steps. He didn't like there was no cheat code, you know? Um, I think confidence is something that, is on it's earned slowly. Um, not to be a quoting, or not to quote another book, but the confidence gap puts it best, right? The confidence gap says that the feelings of confidence, or no, it says the action of confidence comes first, where the feelings of confidence may or may never come, right? Like really all you can be confident in is the understanding of confidence, right? But you might not be able to feel it, or you might not ever be able to show it or to feel it. Um, what else, man? Like reputation, mastery, all these things, like there are no shortcuts to it. Um, so at the end of the day, the best way, like this ain't no money channel, but the best way to get rich is to get rich slow, right? Because the quicker, or not the quicker, the faster you obtain wealth, like that wealth can be taken away just as fast, if not faster. So, but if you obtain wealth over time and you're building it slow, that means you're understanding all of the nuances and all the intricacies, and you're building up fail safes, and you have a backup plan, and you have contingency plans for all that. So while you're doing all that and you're iterating through all that, it's that much harder to take it away. Not saying that it can't get took, but it's gonna play out better in your favor if you just get rich slow. So yeah, I gave y'all $1 million worth of knowledge with no money. But yeah, man, thank y'all for tuning in, man. AT is where it's at. on most forms of social media. You know how we do over here, man. Yeah, what else we got going on, man? Yeah, like I said, I moved some things around. Hope y'all like the new format or the whole layout of things. You know what I'm saying? We still figuring this shit out. Like I said, this podcast that I'm doing, right? Go back and look at them old episodes, man. Like, look, this episode probably this episode, like I said, I'm at the point now where I'm just putting stuff out. You know what I'm saying? And 5 years from now, I might look back and be like, man, this episode was some bullshit, you know? But you can go back and look at the other works I've done like years ago when I first got started, like before my channel even had a name. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, on that note, hey man, whatever y'all doing, stick to it, man. You gotta have that stick-to-itiveness. And, you know, if you are blessed with a shortcut in life, make sure you use it and integrate it into your life so you can build something that can last and, you know, sustain itself. You know, I don't know why I'm sounding like I'm being preachy and shit, but you know, nah, there are no shortcuts, man. Like if I could leave you with one thing, man, is there are no shortcuts. If you assume there are no shortcuts in life, you might find one or two, but if you have the mindset of, hey, I'm willing to put the work in and I'm gonna do the work, you always gonna win eventually. Right? You might not win when you want to win, but you're gonna win when it's time. So with all that being said, AT is where it's at on most forms of social media. Thank y'all for tuning in. And without further ado, I'm out of here, folks. Peace.
Tripping with Theo Bold. Tripping with Theo Bold.